This is Beyond the Moon, a Ditch Witch podcast where we dig deep into news, job site stories, Ditch Witch culture, and all the other dirt that makes up the industry.
Hey, welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Beyond the Moon, a Ditch Witch podcast. I'm your host, Sean Hubbard, and I'm here today with Mr. Mark Richards. How are you, sir?
Good, thank you.
Good. We're going to jump in and get going with Mark, but I did want to give a shout out to Brad Marshall, who's an engineer back at the factory. So I recently celebrated or graduated or whatever you want to call it, my 6 years of experience within the company. So Brad sent me an email that just said something to the fact of, oh, awesome, you made it 6 years, and I'm glad you're on our team. And I thought that was cool that he took the time out of his day. And Brad and I don't work together. I bet we've probably crossed paths maybe a dozen times in the 6 years that I've been there. But he took the time out of his day to tell me congratulations and say that he's glad I was part of the team. So thank you, Brad, for sending that out. I know it's a little thing, but I think that's what makes Ditch Witch a really cool place to work. There's a lot of really good folks there, and Brad is one of them. So thank you.
In March, Brad sent me one too, but he didn't say thanks for being part of the team.
Oh, man. Yeah. He probably said something else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, he was thinking about us. So that's good. So, yeah, I wanted to jump right in with Mark today, and we met last week, and we're talking a little bit about this. I think you told me that your first experience with Ditch Witch was something that we call summer help. Is that correct?
That is correct. It's back in, I believe, 1986, and I worked there for three months during the summer.
Yep. So those of you that are listening or watching, summer help, I'm really not very well versed in it, but from what I understand, it's people that work at the factory, they can have their kids out.
If your kid's enrolled in college or a vocational school and further in their education and your parents work there, that comes up first. Actually, my parents were not working there. They just, there was that opportunity for me. So
yeah, so you took it on. So what were you doing with summer help in 1986? What was your job there?
I was running the South H4, which was a Bosch drill. And of course, I was running the Bosch drill because nobody wanted to run it.
Nobody wanted to. It's like, hey, the new guy.
Yeah, right.
I think you told me, too, you were working out on the ranch. Is that correct?
A few years after that, when I left there, went to college and stuff, I became a herdsman on a ranch, and then I ended up going back to school. And during the college, I got on up with Mary. Worked for Kevin Wiley, and Rod Lighty was up there, which everybody had a nickname, but and Steve Huska, and went around showing cattle or Charolais cattle.
Right. So what was that like? So Ed Malzahn started Ditch Witch. He started this company with the trencher, and it's grown into this worldwide beast of a company. His lovely wife, Mary, who I never got to meet, she had a ranch. Right. So what did she have on the ranch? Tell me, what was it like working for and with Mary?
First of all, Ed would let you know that was Mary's.
Right.
And if he didn't, Mary'd let you know it was Mary's.
That's right. So she wasn't too shy about that.
No, she was very competitive in it and had a very good breeding program and all that. I mean, she was a great woman. Ed as well was a great man, but it was a enlightening experience to work for.
So what types of things would you do on the ranch?
Well, we'd calve out, tell you the truth, I don't remember how many cows we ran, but he was always working cattle, tying cattle up, washing them, and the show cattle, and then you work the Kevin pasture and feeding, mixing
ranching
feed, stuff.
Yeah. That's cool. So you, backing up to 1986, you said your parents were not working at the company at the time, but you do have some family history, correct?
Oh, absolutely. And it still stems today. I've got, my dad had worked there. My brother had worked there, aunts, uncles. My two older children, Mackenzie's 27. She worked there for summer help as she was going to college. And my son, who's 23, he worked there summer help.
Right.
And actually, my wife was on a tour. She's from Indiana, and she had a brother-in-law that worked there. And her sister had a baby, and she come into town to help the first couple weeks after the baby was born, and she took a tour of Ditch Witch, and the story I tell is they about ran over me on the tour cart.
Did they try to?
Well, I'm thinking she grabbed the wheel, seen me and grabbed the wheel, but I don't think that's quite. I think it was more of me darting out in front of her.
Yeah, that tends to happen sometimes. So with such a rich history of your family being at Ditch Witch, what is it about the company, or is it just Perry, or what is it about the company or the brand that has your family's loyalty?
Well, I think, first of all, you work for places that you worry about paychecks, cashing your paychecks and stuff like that. And I tell you, the 25 years I've been out there, I've never had one of their checks bounce.
Yeah.
So
that works out.
But all kidding aside, I mean, it's the people that are there. I mean, you look at people that have quit out there and retired or quit whatever other opportunities, and they say it's like graduating high school, where you leave high school and you leave all your friends. I mean, the people and the dynamic of the people there is electrifying.
It's a lot of good folks.
Something,
Yeah. So you said you've been with the company now for 25 years. So that starts in 1999, not counting the summer help time.
Right.
So in between those years, you had summer help, and then you left and did some ranching type stuff?
Yeah, I left there and I went to Denison, Texas, and worked for Harrelson A1 Rental, and actually rented Ditch Witch equipment.
Oh, that's right. You told me that.
Had a great time down there. Still vacation with the family down there, and it was a great time, great learning experience. And then I moved back. A gentleman asked me to come back and manage a ranch for him, and I did that for about 12 years. And I had the opportunity to cowboy in Colorado and New Mexico and around.
Yeah.
It was a great time.
And call some auctions in the meantime.
I went to auction school, and not saying that I'm good at it. There's some people that are masters.
Oh, I was going to put you on the spot.
Well, we'll pass over that one.
Yeah, we'll pass on that. Okay, so you came back in 1999 doing what? I don't think, if I remember correctly, I don't think you got the job that you were wanting to get, but you joined the company, and here we are.
The job I wanted, they only hired within.
Okay.
So I started by loading on the loading docks, loading trucks, and then it was less than a year later they opened up that other job, and I went up to engineering, working in product tests, building prototypes and stuff like that.
So for the majority of that 25 years, you were in the quality department.
Yes,
is that correct?
I was. Yeah, I had a back injury that kind of landed me in the quality department, if you will. But it was a good fit. I knew the equipment,
right,
and come in on the jet track side of it. So, and I'd help bring in jet track to the 1220 and the 2020.
Yeah,
and great. I think they were great machines.
Yeah, they were good ones.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the quality department, and we'll get to your new role. I know you're not in the quality department anymore, but what does that mean, or what do you do? I mean, it's not just a visual inspection, right? But yep, that looks good, high quality. So what type of measures go into a quality department?
It's not just measuring the quality of work. It's measuring the quality of the work of the people who we're buying stuff from.
Okay.
The components we're buying.
Oh, yeah, I didn't even think about that.
And it's troubleshooting, seeing. I mean, the first thing you want to do is rule yourself out if there's an issue. And, we have thousands of parts coming into the plant that we're not in control of.
Not in control of in the sense that we didn't
quality,
build them. Right.
The quality they send us is the quality we get.
Yep.
So, you might have basically is shutting stuff down before your customer gets it.
So that makes sense. So just earlier this year, you have taken on a new role. And I'm terrible with titles, so you're going to have to tell me what it is. But I have training coordinator for the Ditch Witch Assembly Academy.
Academy, yes.
I don't know. How do you suppose I got to committee from academy?
Well, there ain't no telling what goes on up there, Sean.
It's hard to say. There's a lot bouncing around in the head, and it's usually not correct. So Ditch Witch Assembly Academy.
Well, this stems back to my time in quality where we were seeing new employees come in, and we was working directly on the line, and it was kind of a baptism by fire deal. Is
Yep.
if we needed somebody in, say, Station 3, that might be the hardest station in the whole line, but that's where the guy quit, so that's where he needs to
Right.
go.
You got a hole, you got to patch it, right?
And so looking at all that, and there's a guy, me and CJ Moore, more CJ Moore than me, made an assembly manual.
Okay.
And nuts and bolts, hydraulic connectors, and then later on we made a assembly training cell. And through the years, things seemed to change, and people change roles and stuff like that. Well, even though that was a great idea at the time, it had kind of fell off. And probably the biggest thing that's changed out there in the 25 years I've been out there is the people.
Right.
What we want to do is bring people in and give them the tools that they need to be successful. And so that's part of the training program now is bringing them in and having a confident employee that he can accomplish his goals.
So is this manual that you and CJ worked on, is that pretty much the curriculum for this new program?
It's the start of it right now. As I got the job and we're developing it, I'm building new curriculum, but a lot of it is
started as the framework for it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So is this typically for, I know you mentioned if somebody left line 3 or whatever and there's a new guy coming in, is this something that like all new assembly employees will go through, or who's going to go through this
everybody
program?
that comes in, even we have a lot of transfers within the company that might come from the weld shop to assembly. They'll go through the assembly training as anybody else would coming off the street.
Would anybody that use it as like a refresher course?
Oh, absolutely. We're building tenured employee training too, and trying to develop things to help people grow in the company.
So how many employees do you have in the assembly group? I'm sure that fluctuates a little bit, but
I'd say 275 to 300. It'll fluctuate in.
So that'll keep you busy.
It should.
Yeah, it should.
Listen close the first time, right?
No doubt about that. So what types of things in your 25 years of experience, you said some of the people are a little bit different, but can you speak to any, I don't know if they're quality or if they're assembly or what differences have you seen when you show up to work today versus what you saw in 1990?
One reason why I have a passion for training is you see, I'll tread lightly here, but I learned from being yelled at.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the way our parents did it. You
Right.
know, you'd be working out in the shop and you'd get yelled at, and you better get it right, so he'll quit yelling at you, right?
Figure it out.
Figure it out. I tell you, the kids nowadays don't take as much yelling at.
Right.
So, and that's not the way to make them successful.
Yeah.
I mean,
to your point, right, the whole program is to make sure that they have the
confident
tools
employee with the right tools they need to be successful. And then it's up to them. And it's up to us to pass that point to develop them.
And that mentality, I think, really started with Ed Malzahn years and years ago. Again, I never got the opportunity to meet him. If he were here and he asked me to do something and I told him that's not my job, how would that go over?
Yeah, he'd let you know what your job was.
Right. So, and that's kind of the culture at Ditch Witch, and that we're trying to have is it's whatever it takes.
There was an old bumper sticker, I believe it was in the late 70s, early 80s, that said Ditch Witch, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
And you know, quality starts with every individual that's there, and whatever it takes starts with every individual there.
A lot of good things can happen. Everybody's pulling in the same direction.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Right.
So we are running up out of time. I do have a fun little game I wanted to play with you real quick here. I know you haven't seen this before, so this is going to be a curveball to you. But as we wrap here on kind of a lighthearted note, if you could become the main character of any movie throughout history, what would that movie be and what character would it be?
It'd be Lonesome Dove.
Lonesome Dove.
Gray, yeah.
Gus. That's my guy.
Yeah.
I love Lonesome Dove.
Yeah.
I used to watch that all the time. There's like I don't know, how many parts of Lonesome Dove are there? I feel like it's like an 8-hour movie or something now, isn't it?
Yeah. I used to go to Texas after I lived up here, and every time I'd go back, they would have all the TVs playing playing Lonesome Dove when I'd get there. So,
Right.
And it'd just run
Yeah.
over and over. Till
One of
I
my
left.
favorite parts of Lonesome Dove is when he and what's his name, Captain McCall,
Yeah.
walk into a bar and the bartender's like something about at least you cowboys could dust yourselves off. We got enough, whatever it
yeah.
was, and they just point up to the wall behind it. There's my credentials, and I think he pistol whips him at some
Oh,
point.
yeah,
But
he does.
yeah, it's a great show.
It is a great show.
Yep. But anywho, Mark, I appreciate you hopping on today.
sir.
I hope it wasn't too bad. I know it's one of those things. It's not your job to be on a podcast, but here you are.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right. Thanks, everybody. That's going to be a wrap for today, and we'll catch you next time. Thanks.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Beyond the Moon. Be sure to subscribe to this podcast on your favorite platform and follow us on social media @Ditch Witch.